Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Polestar. Early Polestar stores faces a wait for volume models. US deliveries of Polestar highest anticipated Polestar 3 crossover are delayed until the fourth quarter of 2023. But the automaker isn't worried about the critical EV late arrival. So naturally, let's try to understand why. So Polestar US dealers expect the Swedish electric vehicle maker's first crossover model to arrive in their hip urban stores early next year, but now they find that they will be without the high volume Polestar 3 for the better part of a year. That is true. We were under the impression that the Polestar manufacturing would start in the US in early 2023. However, that's been delayed until late October 2023, so 1 year from now. So US deliveries of the mid-size crossovers will begin in the fourth quarter of 2023. Several months later than some retailers have anticipated. That could prove problematic for young brands as it claws its way into the competitive US auto market. Now, Polestar, which sells a sedan model, delivered an estimate 6,400 units of the Polestar 2 in the first 9 months of 2022, according to Automotive News Research and Data Center. That's probably only in the US though, because I'm pretty sure worldwide they delivered 30,000 vehicles so far. So naturally we have a statement. We have a statement from Matthew Haken, CEO of Polestar Shorts Hill in New Jersey, told Automotive News, "It's disappointing not to have your franchise car. We hope to go from a startup to an established competitive franchise next year with a volume SUV." I would be interested to find out more about this dealership, actually. I am now fascinated by this dealership because obviously selling cars in America is vastly different from Europe. It's quite different. In Europe, vehicles can be sold by the company. However, in the United States, I think the vehicles are sold to the retailers and then the retailers sell those vehicles to customers. And that's a very traditional thing in the United States, except for Tesla. Tesla has gone around this. Tesla is selling vehicles directly by Tesla instead of going through dealerships, which I like. I like the fact that Tesla took things into their own hands instead of just handing their cars off to dealership. And these dealerships, they will raise the price when there's high demands without the company's acknowledgement. They did it recently with the Mercedes electric car, the most highly demanded Mercedes electric car. And they were raising pricing by 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, simply because people would pay. There was a extremely insanely high demand. And a lot of people who wanted to get a Mercedes, they couldn't because of dealership, not because of Mercedes, because the dealerships. So I'm curious to find out more about this Polestar Shorts Hill dealership in New Jersey. Now, the US is expected to be the largest single market for Polestar 3, with North America accounting for about 30% of the global sale. The crossover will significantly boost throughput for early retailers. The brand's US CEO Gregor Hembro told Auto News before the model's global reveal earlier this month, "This is our most critical product launch yet." It says the brand's US CEO, Gregor Hembro. However, I think there's only one Polestar CEO, that's Thomas Ingerluth. So perhaps they're talking about someone else, or perhaps this individual is under a different title. Now, one Polestar retailer said he had banked on having the crossover to sell early next year to fund his expansion plans. The delay threw the business plan out of the window, he said, requesting not to be identified. It's interesting that Polestar delay in the Polestar 3, especially in the United States market, it's affecting retailers so much. Obviously, these retailers, these cars outlets, they rely on new vehicles. They rely on new brands, especially highly demanded vehicles, rare vehicles, because they can sell them for an increased value. So Polestar is selling for roughly around 80 grand, 85 grand in the United States. But since it's going to be built in the United States, there will be a tax incentive. So about 7 grand will be taken off the upfront price. Now, regardless of this, the retailer can still raise the price. They can raise the price by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand if they want, if there's enough demand. If someone is willing to pay for the car at an increased price, they will increase the price. And Polestar does not get some of this money. They don't get any of this money. They get the money that they sold the car for to the retailer, but the retailer can resell the car at any given price. It's how the American business works. It really is America's best example of how good they are at business when it comes to profiting. Because it's like, listen, the normal retailer, Polestar, they would never raise their car price by 50 grand. No retailer would do that unless it's like a supercar brand. But Mercedes, Audi, Tesla, BMW, these normal retailers, they wouldn't do anything remotely crazy to that. However, the American people understand that you give the cars into the hands of retailers, they will happily do this. So that actually creates more revenue for the company and in turn creating more revenue for the country. Hence, increasing GDP of said country. Hence, increasing the value of said company that are giving out these incredible high pricing for vehicles, which means that these companies can expand their business even larger. So America just has a system of way of allowing businesses to expand and expand and expand. It's really remarkable. I like it, but I don't like it. I like it as a business person, but I don't like it as a consumer. Because a consumer, you don't get treated so well unless there is a high supply and low demand. Then you get treated well. In America, you get treated great when there is a high supply but low demand. But when there's high demand, low supply, yeah, the cars are going to be insanely expensive. And this is what they were hoping on. These Polestar 3 vehicles would be incredibly rare at starting out, actually. And I can guarantee you these retailers, they would increase the price 20, 30, 40 grand. And next year this time, when these cars are rolling out into retailers' hands, we're going to have a little talk and I'm going to show you that I was right. These retailers will increase the price by ridiculous amounts. Now, it also says we relied on information that this car would be released early next year and that our volumes would be significantly up, which would justify the rent expense involved in opening stores, the dealer said. We're carrying a massive investment. If we have to carry it another year, that's not very helpful financially. Which means that if they struggle without the Polestar 3, they're just going to increase the price even more to cover the losses that they've made, which makes the cars even more expensive. So they won't just be raising the car prices by 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50, 60, 70 grand. It sounds ridiculous, but it's happened recently. And I'm sure it's happened many times before. If you live in the United States, leave a comment. Help us understand. Help us explain to everyone else, because I can't do this on my own, how it works in the United States. It's rather fascinating. Now, the article just goes on to say that the Polestar 3 shares a platform with the affiliated Volvo Cars' next generation EX90 full-size crossover electric SUV. This car will have bidirectional charging, and that's being carried over to the Polestar 3 as well. All of Volvo vehicles, including Polestar new vehicles, SUV, Polestar 3s, will have bidirectional charging. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, not all of them, but the SUV, such as the EX90 and the Polestar 3, certainly will. Fantastic. Now, it also says that software issues related to the platform are said to have complicated the development of both models, a source told Auto News. The vehicle will begin production at Volvo's assembly plant in Chengdu, China, midway through next year, but then launch at Volvo's Ridgeville, South Carolina factory a year later. Manufacturing will start later in America this time, which means that it will take a few months to get those vehicles into the hand of customers. I wouldn't be surprised if in America you'll get those vehicles by December, January 2024, February, March 2024. Yeah, it's going to take a while to fully get those into the hands of customers. They don't just start building and immediately goes into the hands of customers. That's the plan. That's never a guarantee, is it? So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. And of course, I will see you in our next video.